Here is the employee engagement survey tool that I made yesterday. I'm a day behind uploading, but I actually like this format better, I think, where I build and then I have a bit of time to clean it and then present it. So this employee engagement survey tool, I guess, is designed to serve a couple of purposes. One is to allow you to aggregate across surveys or like analyze across surveys. So you can ask the same questions two different times and compare results, two or more different times and compare the results. It also allows you to add tags to questions. So in this case, from um, some of these questions are from this book, Nine Lies About Work, and they're divided into we questions, so questions about engagement at the team level, and me questions, questions about engagement at the personal level. And so I built those in as tags, and you can now compare kind of the we questions versus the me questions. Okay, so that might be helpful. You can also look at kind of per question responses here. And again, it'll allow you to filter by the survey release if you've asked on multiple occasions. But maybe I'm only interested in these three questions at the moment. Then I can see, okay, where people are falling. So I have the chance to use my strengths. It looks like most people chose four to five. And okay, so it gives you a way to analyze the data. The next part was there's an open-ended question at the end of each of the surveys. And if you check out the form here, it's this, is there anything else you'd like to add? And I just kind of sicked AI at that and said, give me, oh, actually, what did I say? Here's the prompt that I used. Yeah, provide action items, separate the items into categories to summarize. To separate the action items into categories. Yeah, I could also say separate the feedback into categories. I think that's more what I meant. And then attempt to identify and balance. Okay, so yeah, so that's taking sort of the next step, looking across your open-ended feedback results just to create some summaries there. So from the build, and the build will come at the end of this kind of intro. I don't think I changed too much other than moving some things over to the correct pages. So sort of the flow of the tool is create a new survey release. So, this is the next one here that's active is Q2 2025. And just clicking the button kind of makes it active, which means any submissions will be logged against that survey release. Then it's creating the questions and or adding questions to the survey. So there's room for 8 questions. Not room, it has to be 8 questions. Just the way this one works. And so, I mean, these existing questions you can reuse, or you can add new questions and assign them. And the way this works is you can see there's nothing to add here. So if you want to clear all of these IDs, this is how you assign a question. So this will be the first question, this will be the second question, and so on. So if I wanted to change that, I'd take that 2 off there, and you can see the only one available is 2, so I can move it around that way. I'm just going to undo that. Okay, so after you've developed and assigned the survey questions, you can take a look at the survey. Shouldn't really need to change anything there unless you want to change something about the open-ended question. And then for now, for distributing, it's really just either copying the survey link so that it can be pasted into like a Slack channel or an email or something, or this button if you've got other Coda docs, you can paste the button in. And the only thing to note is the person, if they want it to be anonymous, which they should, will have to change submit as if they're logged in, if they have a Coda account. And other than that, then after the results start coming in, you just come back and check them out, and that's that. So yeah, following the build or following this will be the it kind of extended. I think it was like an hour and a bit to build the bulk of this, and then I was another I think hour this morning kind of cleaning it up and playing with the charts because like sort of charts in Coda aren't the most intuitive sometimes. Um, but yeah, getting those to work was the next piece. So yeah, love to hear what people think of it, and happy surveying. Good day. Welcome to episode 3 of what am I calling this, handcrafting micro tools in Coda. Today, I promised on LinkedIn that I would build an employee engagement kind of employee pulse survey tool. I said, here's what it requires as a minimum. So I'm just going to copy these, and then it's everyone's favorite time, coda.new. Ta-da! And here we go. So if I put on this page what I just copied, we've got, so we'll call this employee engagement survey tool. That's a weird one. Oh, there it is. Okay. It looks like I said five components, right? So question builder, we need a way to generate, create questions that we want to ask employees. I'm probably going to start, I usually refer to people as workers. I know the common, oh boy, I better leave it there. I better leave it there because I know what people are going to search for. They're going to search for employee and not worker. So um, someone on staff has to build some questions. And then we need a form and a way to for people to submit anonymously, which is built into Coda Forms. We have to be able to get the forms out to people. Then we need to look at the data that comes back, build some graphs around it, and then if we've got time, we'll want to figure out what it all means and close the loop so that next time we're asking different slash better questions. And of course, outside of this micro sort of engagement survey process is address some action items or create action items and address them for people so that things get better. So let's go over here and we'll say question builder, or I might just call it survey questions. So one of the problems with forms in Coda and really in almost anywhere is once you build it, maybe I'll just demonstrate this as I'm talking about it since it'll have to happen at some point. The problem is once you build the form, it's kind of fixed. And so if you imagine, you lay out a form, um, then it's kind of static. And I mean, if you want to be able to link questions from a previous survey to the current survey, then you have to make sure that they are exactly the same. If you want to add questions, then it's like you have to add new columns and change the layout and stuff. So I want to get rid of all of that. And I know I just said I was going to build it as I was talking, but um, multitasking, right? It's hard to do. So instead, let's start here with survey questions. I'm going to make a new table. Nope, I don't want to add Airtable, and I don't know what a tab is, but I do want to add a new table. And we're going to call this survey questions, and I might start with like an ID, a question ID. And I'm going to make it 1, 2, 3. There's a little trick here for making a row ID that um, here's something to know. So if there is a built-in kind of row ID formula, and it looks great until you say add another new row and then delete this row. So this one's still number 4, even though I want this one to be number 3. Okay, so it's just the way Coda works. It's always remembering how many rows you've created since the beginning of time in this table, and that's what your row ID is getting assigned. But if we wanted to, you know, reflect how many rows are actually here, then, and let me see if I can remember how to do this. It's add formula. It's this table dot find this row. Right. Okay. So now if I drag this up to the top and see it becomes number 1, and the row ID still reflects that it's number 4. Different one can be used in different sort of times for different purposes, but and one thing to note is this question ID one with the formula here, it won't adjust if you added like a sort to the table. Um, anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm going to delete this one because I like this one. So uh, what do we need for questions? We need a question. So this will be the actual text that we put in for the question. We need a scale. Try to keep this very simple. I have this tendency when I'm building these things to imagine, oh, well, I've built in the past a way to, have the person building this survey choose whether it's a scale or like a yes, no, or a drop down and stuff. It's like not today, not in an hour. So here we have a 5 point scale. Okay, and I think I'm just gonna leave that at this point, although I might. Which one of these looks like engagement? I don't know, the sun? We'll just do the sun for now. And cool for later, probably want to add a description to say, it'd probably end up being in the instructions, but it might say where 1 is strongly disagree and 3 is neutral and 5 is strongly agree. Excuse me. And I mean, it might make more sense to have this be a select list where people are actually selecting, like, do I strongly agree, blah blah. But the nice thing about this is when I put this, I can actually output over here what am I saying? Actually, I don't even want the scale here. I want that over in the survey, so I don't know what I'm doing here. But we're making it up together. If I had a number, I could say equals scale. Nice thing is it's just pulling the number there, so it's like good for analytics later on. It's just having this scale thing. We don't have to convert it. But as I said, you are not actually going to be evaluating the question. There's only going to be one version of the question. Where people will evaluate is on the form. So I'm going to, for later, get that description back. I was already highlighted this nice. X done. And I'm going to take this out. One thing we might want to do is add a select list for tags. This might make it easier later on to say, like, well, what kind of question is this? Like, what is it actually measuring? And I've got some questions I'm going to pull from a book, and it's like we versus me questions. So it's like team and personal questions. Excuse me. So those are helpful. So tags. Now, where are those questions? Here they are. Okay, so the book is 9 Lies About Work. I'll put the link in the doc. Incredible book, was really sort of compelling and helped me, oh boy, Rome, helped me understand, I think, engagement and the things that go into making happy workers a lot better. So if I just paste these, nice, it put them all on separate lines, and I just have to do a little bit of cleanup I didn't mention today this is not a live stream because I was talking to my good friend Jesse Cole about the benefits of live streaming over pre-recording, and he was like, if you don't have like a huge following, then like why are you, what's going on here? Why would you live stream? It just probably doesn't carry the weight. So I thought I've got a meeting later on today, so maybe I'll just pre-record. So here we go. Um, okay, so it was odd or team. I have the chance. Yeah, odd were we questions, and even were me questions. Good, good. Oh, all right. So I'm gonna leave that there. I really want to take all these periods out. Forgive me, watchers. This is the painful nature of a person's, I don't want to call it OCD, but yeah, here we are. Okay, so we have a set of survey questions, and someone could come in, make a new question whenever they wanted, edit the existing wording of the questions, and we're good. Now we're going to go over and make the survey form. So uh, up in the air as to whether you start with a form or start with the actual table. I like to start with the table and then convert or make a view of it. That's the this would be survey results. And then down here, I'll make a copy of the form. So if I just say survey results, it'll pull up a view of it, and then I can choose form as the option. Okay, works great. I'm going to delete it for now because I want to make sure I've got the column set up the way I want, and then when I convert it to a form, they'll all be there. Okay, so what are the components of a survey? Well, the form builder or form, I guess, layout in Coda gives you a description column at the top, so I don't need to give any like preface information. If I wanted to, I could include some text columns and in the formula, like add a formula here and just write any information I wanted, and then that'll be like a static piece at the top of every form that someone clicks. But in this case, I think we're going to get right down to it. So the difficult piece here again is mapping the questions here that are rows to columns across here because the only way we can get them to show up in a form is as separate columns. So I tend to like to clear things out. I'm going to leave the name there and I'll just start fresh. So I'm going to call this, I'll look at survey questions, and I'm going to call this Q1. And I'll get rid of these couple of extra lines. Ah, right. Okay, so this is a little bit more complicated than I thought. So this does me no good to select, question one here um, in this column because this is actually going to be the result, right? So nobody is going to be selecting their own question. What I would need to do is actually say here, this should be a edit column, add formula to say go to survey questions, filter it for question ID equals 1, then return me, well, no, return that. Okay, and then I'll bring in a related column, which is the question. Okay, and then what I need after that is the scale. Do I want a scale or a slider? Oh, it's a tough one. That's a really tough one. So that's like personal preference. Where do you want it as a slider where someone can go between one, in this case, and 100, but we'd set it from like 1 to 5. It's like, do you like this as a way of rating versus a scale? And I think I prefer the scale. I think I like that better. So this would be Q1 response. Um, so now the trick is like, if we're going to do this 8 times over, first of all, I'll probably just edit it out because it's going to be boring to watch me repeat the thing. I'll do a couple of them. But then what we want to do is say, well, if we're going to have 8 questions, and it's a fixed number of questions every time, then maybe what I want here is not a question ID, but it's a select list where I'm choosing which question is going to be question number one, question number two. And in that case, it'd be more like a select list that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, too many. And I think we probably want option. Maybe I gotta convert this to a table. Bear with me here for a moment. Question ID. I'm gonna put this in a new page. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna delete this. Maybe I won't. Question ID formula. I could call this question ID. And now I can say one, this is going to be number one, right? This is going to be question number two. And if I want to go through this, what I really want now is for this to be restricted so that it's no longer showing me questions one and two, right? Like if I've already chosen question one, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it again. I shouldn't be able to choose question one multiple times. So if I filter, custom filter, I feel like I did this in the last video maybe, and it was awkward. Question filter formula where um, question ID, no, it's this table, survey questions dot question ID contains, no, other way around. This should be question ID dot filter. No, that's already there. So it's where uh, I don't know what it would actually be called here. Question, this should be used, not select question ID. This is part of the fun, folks, is figuring out how to do this. So now we would say where question ID, no, where current value contains, no, is in survey questions dot question ID dot not. Yeah, see, this is the problem I had last time. Oh, no, 3, 4, 5. So now if I select 4, hey, okay, so that did it. So here, I'll go back to, I really didn't think it was going to work, so I don't want to add a formula. that was in edit column, and down here we're filtering the values that are going to show up. And the reason I can use current value is because it's already in the filter. So already this is saying in this column, which is looking up to the question ID table, show me only those ones where the current value is in, but not in, because you put not at the end, is not in this column already. So it's looking at what's already in this column and blah, blah, blah. We're good. So if I go 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Okay, so now what that will do, if I go back to the, I'll embed this under this table or this page. So now the survey form, this is going to be broken. No, I left that column there. So the edit formula, it's not question ID formula, it's just question ID dot question ID equals 1, because this is what row is it? Which of our survey questions has the question ID, which remember is you can see the little icon here is a row from this table, but we want the number that that actual row is, so we can say equals 1, and then we're done. We say equals 1, and we're good. Okay, so this one I might call Q1 lookup, so that this one I can call Q1, and we're there. Now, if I highlight Shift Control unable to paste in the formulate column. What if I duplicate columns? There we go. Beautiful. Okay. I couldn't remember if you could do that or not. Q2 lookup, Q2, and Q2 response. And now this formula will say, show me what question is number 2. This formula has to say question, a Q2 lookup. Yeah, great. Okay, so what? Q2 lookup values. Q1 lookup question. This should be Q2 lookup question. And we're good. At work, I clearly understand what's expected of me. Okay. So I may just speed this up because now I have to do that 6 more times if my math is right. Okay. I'm just going to quickly scan these to make sure they're all different. In my work, I'm challenged. I have great confidence in my company's future. I know I'll be recognized for my excellent work. My teammates have my back. I have the chance to use my strengths every day at work. In my team, I'm surrounded by people who share my values. At work, I clearly understand what's expected of me. I'm really enthusiastic. Okay, so those are all different. That's great. So now I think we'll add in a created on. Okay. And I wonder if we don't need here like a settings. I love me a good settings page. And the reason for that will be to say, uh, maybe it's not, doesn't really matter that it's on the settings, but let's say table, we're gonna make a table for which survey it is, okay? Surveys, and we're going to call it like survey ID, I guess. And we'll do a year. The problem here is we want to make sure we know which results in the survey form, because like if we're using this same results for table for every single result we get from every single survey, it would be nice to know, excuse me, um, which time period. You know, it's like created. It's not even created on. It's a date. Uh, let's say date, and this would be like date released or something. And then I'll just put in a oops, oops, notes. I might even call it like release notes. And this is more like a back end, helpful, where I'll say 2024 Q3. I guess this is Q4. We're going to release it today. And the release notes are people seem generally okay, but with like Christmas coming and Q4 being generally pretty busy, we're concerned about burnout, overwhelm, etc. So yeah, I don't know what we're going to use this for other than to say um, for now we're going to add this. Actually, if I go into here and I say active, so checklist, checkbox, sorry, active. Okay, and what we want to do is use that to pre-populate a, we'll go all the way to the end here and say, what did I call that table? Survey. Yeah, that's a tough one. Survey releases or something. And I'll go back all the way over here and we'll say survey releases as my column type. I love being able to do that. And I want the value for new rows to be survey releases dot filter where active. Okay, so then if we have apply to blank row, then if we have two, so we could start planning ahead, right? So this would be 2025 Q1. We could automate creation of that. We're going to plan to release it right in the early January. That's probably a lot. But then you'll see you got to be careful because if they're both checked, it's going to throw all sorts of things off when you're trying to create the row over there. But if just one is checked, we could put some checks and balances in for that. Then when you make a new row, when someone submits a new survey, it'll automatically categorize it as um, that survey. Okay, so we'll be able to group and see based on timeline, even though, I mean, we have this created on, which will actually be like a submitted on. But we should be good other than that. So let's leave it there and try to make the form. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Excuse me, and make the form now. So survey results, and this will be our survey form. And we're going to make it a form. And I'll edit the layout. So the name column we don't need, but what we do need is each one of these questions. So this is our form, so we want to say employee, really boring employee engagement survey. That's what everybody likes to see up there. We can add a cover and we'll do, I'm a big fan when I'm doing engagement stuff of actually taking it literally and doing the um, ring on the finger thing. Um, it, it's kind of silly, but You got to do what you can to make yourself laugh. Um, hey, it's that time again where we ask you uh, how you're doing. This isn't so that we can learn to better control you. Oh no, it's so we can uh, better understand where things are going well and where they aren't, and help you uh, do your jobs. Think of this as your chance to influence the structure, the boundaries we all put around our work. Please be, uh, please reflect on each question and answer from your place of truth. I don't know. That is a little bit silly, but it'll do for now. So that's what people will see. One thing to do immediately is take this Coda branding off. We also don't want the submit again and send responders their response. You can decide whether you want to do that. I probably wouldn't, but privacy settings. Allow submissions, allow submissions. Well, yeah, I want to allow submission. I have no idea what that means, actually. That's kind of a surprising one, but it's like, yes, please do submit answers for the survey. So require login, no. Hidden parameters, sure. Include reference tables. We don't have any people, so I think we're good. Okay, on to the fun. For each one of these questions, I think what we want to do is, you can't label. I totally forgot that you cannot remove the label from a column. Coda, can we get an update on that, please? Because that is, I think, kind of silly. So I might say, what happens if we do this? So we're just gonna have to play around with this. So if I do that, done. Nope. Oh, here we go. Yeah. It doesn't really make sense, does it? See, ideally what I would do is move that way over and take the column heading right off of there, but I can't. So if we do that, it just disappears. There's something else I can put. I guess one thing we need to do is define the scale, right? So somewhere we need to say like what 1 star is versus 5 stars, and we could. I guess we just have to do it this way. So let's do it this way. So we're gonna put Q1 and then Q1 response. I'll take this question mark placer out of there and say add instructions. And I think I copied them somewhere here. So say 1 equals strongly agree. 2 strongly disagree. 2 equals disagree. I have to put this over top, aren't I? I am. 2 equals disagree. 3 equals neutral. 4 equals agree. And 5 equals strongly agree. Just clean this up a bit. And then I'm going to copy that for use everywhere. And I guess I'm going to center it. What if I center this? Yeah, I like that label one, but it's not going to work here, so let's just do this. We'll say question 1. Okay, and then how does that look? Great. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and do all these. Probably going to speed this up because it's just going to be repetitive. But as a reminder, this is just adding a new label in. It doesn't overwrite the column label, which is nice. So then I'm going to make this, yeah, nope, nope, that's not what I want. Excuse me, I want it here. I wonder if I just take this out and just call it response. Question 1, response. Question 2, response. Well, it's not perfect, I'll tell you that much, but we can work with it. Okay, I think we're good there. Then what we want to do is take off all this stuff. We don't need the lookups. Don't need the survey releases. Don't need submitted on. What we do want, we can put a message here saying, thank you so much for your uh, engagement. We want to add a canvas column here where not required. It's going to be a canvas where people can say feedback. Okay, no, column 28, feedback. And we'll say, is there anything you'd like to add? Use this space to clarify any of your answers, or add general feedback about your current state of mind and work. And up here, I'm going to say, reminder, this survey is anonymous. Anonymous. Okay, so the other thing that I didn't think to do while I was going through was to make these required. Okay, so each of the responses we're going to mark as required, and then people won't be able to leave without answering the questions. Now, of course, you could put, I forgot to put the agree, strongly agree in. You could put feedback columns, after every question, if that's what you wanted to do. I mean, there's so many ways that you could customize this for to work better for your organization. And when I build this kind of thing for clients, that's the majority of the work is trying to figure out how to turn what is usually like a generic framework into something really useful. So I think that's good. I'm going to publish it, and then I'm going to take the link. Okay, and then we'll get out of this view. And now what I like to do is somewhere, there we go, I'm going to paste this. Nope. Let's see. How can I paste the link? I guess it's just trying to embed it. I should be able to change it here. Embed. Remove. Yeah, so I don't want to do that. I want that hyperlink, but I want it in a button. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll say button, and it will be a copy to clipboard. Maybe it's a copy to clipboard. We just say the text to copy is the URL, and then we can say copy survey link, and we'll just do a copy. And then beside that, I'll do another button that's actually going to open it. So open hyperlink, and the URL will be this, where we'll say open survey, and I don't know, checkboard, clipboard. Okay, so copy the survey link. Now if I paste that into a new tab, right, great. So I can do that wherever I want. Or if I just want to paste the button in somewhere, then I can, in an existing doc, then I can do that. So here is one thing that you really have to be careful for, is the submit as. Because I'm signed in, it automatically picks me up. And I can't recall, I have to check to see if there's a way to get it to default to anonymous. I don't think there is. And so you just have to click that and submit because otherwise it's going to submit in the back end as like it was me who did it. So um, I'm just going to go through and pick randomly. I've been having a hard time prioritizing my work, and it makes it hard for me to be in the moment because I'm always thinking about the other things I should be doing. Submit. And thank you so much for your engagement. Okay, so now if we go back to the tool, we should have one result, right? So I can delete this one that I was using just as a view into kind of what the results would look like. But here we are, and now we've got some feedback. So I am going to go through and just add some more results, and they'll probably be kind of meaningless. I'll probably generate some fake trends. Okay, I created 10 now variations of the results, and we can start to do some analysis, right? Because now we've built the questions, built the form, people can submit. We've got a way to distribute, which, I mean, if I have more time, I would likely pull in the Gmail through the Gmail pack, make it so that I could send this in an email to people. And that's a pretty easy kind of ad where, how are we doing here? So we're already at 50 minutes. So I'll come back to this maybe. And actually, I'm just going to put these in as questions here or checkboxes. So we've done that, done that. We'll come back to that because it's kind of here by just, I mean, you can put this in an email and bulk email it out to staff or dump it in your Slack channel or something. But now it's analytics and visual reporting. So, excuse me. I think the best way to come at this is from the survey question side of things, where if we go over to, if we say survey results, you can see there's all these relation columns for Q1 lookup column. But that's not really what we want. I think what we want is the full table, and I'm just gonna hack a formula together because we want to say, show me any uh, any rows where this question appeared. Because again, next time we do the survey, we might not use this question. We might have another question down here that we use instead. So what we want to do is build a formula and say, go to the survey results and filter it where I wonder if what I need to do. So I need a lookup. I need a aggregated list combine column to say for, I think that's what I'm going to do. I need in this survey results to say, show me all of the questions um, that were asked in this survey. To that, and then that will, well, you'll see what it'll do. So survey, let me open up the formula and say list combine Q1 lookup, Q2 lookup. My brain is having a hard time with this one. Sometimes can get it to just like repeat a set of steps. I'm just gonna say mindlessly, but sort of on command. And this one is a little bit harder. So if I do that, right, then now I've got all of the hmm, have I walked myself off a cliff? Because what I really want is the response. So I don't want to just say show me the row. I can say survey results filter where um all oh, did I not name it? I didn't name it, did I? Survey form. I did survey questions. Okay. Filter where survey questions contains this row. All right, so now I've got row 5, 6. All right, I've got this list of results. It's showing me that the question was asked, but it isn't showing me where the question was asked. So what's the best way to do that? Let's see. I could either say I could do like a switch if or something, saying like switch if R5 Q1 lookup is 1, then show me the result, I guess, or like aggregate the result. All right, here's what I think the problem is that we're going to face is I have a way to say that question 1 was asked, and that proves it here. These are all the rows from here, and the name column is blank, but I could easily make it like, I guess the survey releases, let's say, was the display column. And drag that all the way over here. And then what I'm seeing is every time, it appeared in this survey result. But the problem is it's still stuck there. Like there is my response. That's what I actually need. And I mean, I could try to add that column, but it didn't do it because part of what it's trying to do is it's going to try to average those all together. And I don't know whether that's going to be why I need it to be flexible to tell me that it was either question 1 so that I could look up and say, well, it's question 1's result and not question 2's result. So I think what I have to do is every time we get one of these, I think I need to run an automation that pulls out the responses and ties them to a question. So it would be like a new table called, uh, 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 I think it would be like, I'm just for now going to call it question results. And it would be a table, blank table, and this one would be the column type would be question. Where did it go? Down here, survey questions. Survey question. This will be the number, the response. I'll have a date. It's actually date and time, I guess. Submitted on. So we'll just pass that from the response over. And then we need a lookup to the survey releases and say what survey release was this. And I think that's fine. And so now what we can do to test this is I'll go back over to survey form and say, I'll just build a button here to do this for these ones, and then we can move the formula over to an automation for the next ones. So the button will say survey results for each of the survey results. We want to take we want to I think run actions, add a row where uh, we're going to add it to question. Didn't I call it question results? No, I called the table question results, or the page question results, but not the table question results. Survey form. Okay, back to our button. There it is. So we're going to add a row to question results where survey question is current value Q1 lookup. And response is Q1 response. I forgot that I don't have to do that. Current value is embedded in that by just saying Q1 lookup. What else do we have? Submitted on is submitted on. And the survey release is survey release. Okay. Oh, I won't do that. So for each, we're going to run that, and then I think we've got to run it every time. So not every time, but we have to do, this one would be Q2 lookup and Q2 response. And I'm just going to leave it there. Extra close parenthesis found. Right. Okay, I'm going to leave it there and see how that does. So if I click that, 20 rows added, and now we've got the survey question, the response, and a submitted on. So now if I go back over to my survey questions, what I should be looking up is not that, but I want to go to question results. Yeah, it's right there. Okay, and now from question results, so now this is saying here are all the times somebody answered that question. I would be able to filter it by the release date if I wanted to. And I could say now, give me a related column just to show me the responses. And then Okay, so let's stop there. Let's see what we can do with this. Okay, because one thing we want to be able to do for sure is to visualize, right? So um, let's say, let's see what happens when we bring in question results first. Okay, and we're going to try to make this a chart. So what are our options for charts? If it was a timeline, no, not a timeline option. I definitely want a chart. I think what I was trying to do was say a scatter chart. Why can't I just get the value? Well, I broke my pact to myself. I went off camera, did a bunch of building, uh, which I should have done on screen so you could see because it was a bit of trial and error to figure out how to get these responses to show, which is doing now. I mean, here we have question one, question two, and the counts of the various responses. We could sort by question. We can see what happens as it drops. I couldn't tell you why it's not dropping three, but there must be one response there. Um, and it just drops two and one altogether. And so that's something that we have to work on. Um, I mean, for each question, I also converted this responses column. This would be like the average. This is the average response over time, right? Which is fine, but I think what you'd want to do is, excuse me, see another chart where again you could filter by the survey release and and then see the average. So we'd want a table where you'd have like filter release and or survey release versus average. And so I think that would be done probably again from another question results table. Um, so I think I'm gonna have to come back to this one. I think it's a big enough chunk of work that to really get it humming would need maybe time next week as well. So uh, anyway, I'm gonna leave this here, and we'll come back to it. I think we're kind of on our way to this visualization piece, and then the next one would be to, especially start pulling out some of the, where were they, from the survey form, some of these feedback column responses, which reminds me I should delete because they were all the same, right? I just duplicated rows before, so the only one that had actual written feedback was this first one. Okay. Anyway, I learned a lot, and I think one of the things is to start from the data that you want and work backwards. Yeah, and we'll keep going. Thanks for coming along. See you, everybody.